This week on Bricks and Clicks, connecting with your customers digitally so they keep coming back, how to manage growth once your business booms online, and invaluable insights from our Bricks and Clicks mentors. Our 6 small businesses are still in Sydney, sprinting to get their retail shops online. They've now completed 8 of the 10 modules in the Bricks and Clicks course, which is designed to transform their local shops into global online brands. It's the final day, and they've all come so far. But before unveiling their websites to the world, there's still a few more things to learn, especially when it comes to connecting with customers on the new digital front.
Emma and Tom started from scratch, going offline, going door-to-door to cafes to build up the customer relationship.
But times have changed, as our next millionaire mentor reveals in his inspiring story of small business success.
My name's Tom Griffith. I'm half of the team from Emma and Tom's. We started our business actually in 2003. We spent a year putting it together. We'd run around Melbourne and Sydney picking out our A and B prize customers, either by volume or by cred, and raced around trying to sell. And our first day, we actually went out and saw a bloke called Gary, who owned the Courtyard Cafe and deli in Rathdown Street in Carlton, and basically asked him what he wanted to give it to his consumers. And what we found out is everything in his store was there quite deliberately. It wasn't just like to fill the shelves. He had a real offering to his consumers.
Emma and Tom's have really grown quite quickly in a short space of time, and for this great little Australian company to now be something significant and heading in the world market and taking on China is really inspiring.
So in building the business from that platform, we have to obviously make sure that we, as the brand owners, are communicating to our stakeholder groups. And we feel we've got 3 of those, being our customers, the shopkeepers, we have our consumers who buy from the shops, and of course our team of about 50 people.
I thought it was interesting how Tom talked about how it wasn't just a relationship with your customer, but it was also with your internal team.
You've got to know what you stand for, and therefore why people should buy or follow your good or your service. What we aim for in our communication is we want to instill in them the emotion that, I feel good about my decision to buy the Emma and Tom's. Or, I'm a good father, I buy it for my daughters. Because at the end of the day, people act, in our mind, out of emotion.
My main takeaway from Tom was he was talking about that 1%. So you can deliver to a customer and they can have 99% satisfaction, but there's that 1% of extra customer service and effort that you have to put in every time to make their experience buying your product absolutely perfect, and I hadn't thought of that before.
If you can't communicate that brand essence, and it's difficult to do that, to nail down what you really stand for and what your one message is to the consumer, I think it's exceptionally difficult. And there's only a number of people that I've come across who are very good at distilling all the information down. Expect failure. That's not very popular these days in the social media scene, but it's going to happen and it's going to cost you. So you can't budget to execute the perfect plan, because you're going to drop things for sure. And you need to have enough buffer to be able to wear that. We launched before online was a big thing. That dates us, but that's only 2004 we launched. We soon realised we wanted to have more pipelines to our consumers. So we set up an online shop, and from there, it's actually pretty simple, frankly. We've got software that talks to our online shop. We can load it up ourselves. It's very simple, as all these things are these days. They're very intuitive.
Tom came in today and he gave us a lot of advice about different areas of business, but what we found really useful was the talking about when a customer complains, customer relations. So to get offline and actually ring people, he'll ring customers and talk to them and work out what the problem was.
We've always figured you want to make it as easy as you can for people to buy that product. As you know, all those really top online shops get you from looking at product and they whiz you through checkout really quickly, really easily. And then, of course, there's all those tools, as I'm sure you're aware, where you can send EDMs to people who have dropped out. You can suggest that they buy more if they bought a certain product. You can do bundles. You can do pop-ups on your screen to give them a chance to spin the wheel, which then gives you their email address.
Tom was really interesting talking about customer touch points and making sure that you really perfect all those touch points with a customer, that your message is consistent, and any problems that may arise, you really need to deal with them quickly and effectively and make sure that the customer outcome or the customer's experience is out of a positive one.
After the break, going gangbusters. Top tips on how to manage and cope with your business's online growth. Now that our businesses have learned how to connect with their customers, it's time for them to tackle the last module of the Bricks and Clicks online course, Managing Growth. And don't forget, you can sign up to the program for free if you also want to take your business online but don't know where to start. In addition to the video lessons, there's resources and products at your fingertips, as well as the very latest industry advice from experts like Trent Innes from Xero, who's come to chat with our small business owners.
Well, hello everyone, and it's awesome to come and speak to you today. So my name's Trent Innes. I'm the Managing Director of Xero here in Australia and across Asia.
Trent was, very credible, and I think he just put it in a realistic perspective, not from a nerdy accounting view. It was just everyone, it was relatable to everybody, and I think everybody here today got something out of it.
So today we're going to talk a little bit about what does it actually mean to manage growth and how do you actually scale a business. And there's lots of factors to consider, I think, when you're looking at this. But if I had to step back and look at what I've really focused on as I've scaled a business out, number one thing for me is all about purpose. So, what is it? Why do you exist? Why do you exist? What is your business all about? Because that is something that will actually scale with you as you're managing your business.
Trent from Xero has been fantastic, real inspiration in the way that he's taken on the management of Xero's growth as far as an organisation's concerned. We've been on board with Xero for some time now, and it's great to know that an organisation like that has already travelled the path of really big growth, and who knows what's on board for Herman's or Horsham.
The next one for me is all about people. So whether you're hiring your first person, your 10th person, your 30th person, or your 500th person, how do you actually find the right people? I think the most important thing to look for is attitude. So find that person that really relates to what you're all about and that purpose that you're about.
I think the people from Xero were amazing over the last 2 weekends, just talking about how making sure that your accountancy system is simple, but also something that's really accessible and really easy to use. So we'll be looking into Xero straight away.
I think the other one to really think about is you don't have to do everything yourself. Things like your accountant and your bookkeeper are really valuable resource that you can use to help grow. But there's a lot of other resources out there as well that can help you, and especially from a technology perspective as well.
We learned a lot about the Xero as software accounting packages and all the plugins that go with that, like the amount of apps that are available to help small businesses, really kind of compete with the big guys in a way. Like 700 apps that plug and play straight into Xero is pretty amazing.
And the last one that I think is really important is continue to innovate. Continue to innovate. We hear the word disruption a lot out there at the moment, but I like to term it much more about innovate or be disrupted.
We've always had the dream to expand and multiply, and Trent's given us really good advice on how to keep up financials in place and how to do that with the cloud software.
I think the one thing that you really want to make sure you don't forget, though, on the way through is maintaining your customer obsession. So when you got into business for that purpose, you went out there to actually service a customer.
I liked his talk, but I haven't taken anything away from it yet because I'm not that big and I'm not growing like that yet. So maybe when I have grown, I'll look back on it and find something.
Because what you'll start to find when you start to scale and grow your business is that things will break. Things will break. And you want to get ahead of that curve if you possibly can and actually be thinking about what investments do I need to make so I actually don't break things on the way through. So that's all about continually innovating and thinking about doing things differently.
The key is know your numbers. If you wake up every morning and you're just scratching your head, just turning up with not knowing what's going on, you're not going to get very far.
Well, that officially wraps up the Bricks and Clicks course for our 6 traditional retailers. Time for them now to put the last finishing touches on their new websites before the big reveal. After the break, expert extras, words of advice to get you thinking outside the box. In addition to the Bricks and Clicks experts and mentors, we invited 4 thought leaders to come in and talk about a few things business owners don't have time to think about. The first is sustainability. There are far greater opportunities for small businesses associated with it.
So my name is Devin Valenti. I work at the Green Building Council of Australia. We're located just upstairs in this incredible building. And I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about sustainability. So a little bit about the GBCA. We are a member-based organisation. We're a not-for-profit. We have 650 members with an annual turnover of about $40 billion. And our purpose is to lead the sustainable transformation of the built environment. It's quite a big, audacious goal, but that's our purpose as an organisation. There's a saying that companies that implement sustainability measures today will develop competencies that their rivals will be hard-pressed to match tomorrow. So if I got any advice for you in terms of sustainability, start small. You don't have to minimise your energy, your water, your waste, or your transport. You don't have to do everything at once. Just start at maybe water this month. Let's try to reduce our water consumption. That's saving money. That's an easy place to start. Get that right. And then maybe next month you can look at your energy. Once you've got that right and you see the benefits, you can look at perhaps your waste. And then you can start to build it from there. Sustainability is a journey. You don't need to revolutionise your business overnight and do everything.
Next, Jodie Taylor from International Towers comes in to offer some thoughts on reputation. Because, as we all know, a bad one can damage your brand for good.
It's not just about looking good in the media. It's not just about the glossy brand and marketing aspect. Of course, you need to look after your reputation management from your own personal branding perspective, but what I'd like to focus on today is really that operational aspect. I use the analogy of a beautiful, shiny sports car. So you can buy a beautiful Porsche and it's glossy and shiny and beautiful, but if you have issues that are continually dragging on or bubbling away under the bonnet, at some time or another, it's actually going to cause you problems. And Murphy's Law, it's probably going to be when you least expect it. So I would encourage you to really delve deep and get across your whole business. Have a look at your business and try to identify and understand the various touch points across your customer experience. It could be a manufacturer that you're aligned with, and there's been bad publicity surrounding that region of manufacturing as well, and you do not want your brand to be associated with that. So it's taking a very strategic approach. If you identify some of those issues, what do you do with that then? How do you actually manage it? And you need to be prepared. So if you encounter a service failure or you can see an issue bubbling along, the first thing to do is actually take accountability. You also need to be very careful that if you're outsourcing things like managing social media, that you are very clear with your team about your company's values, your business values, but also how you want to operate and how you actually want to represent your business in the public arena.
Next, to really get these guys thinking out of the square, we invited the team from Dubber along to show how artificial intelligence is the new digital power tool for small business.
So artificial intelligence is all about delivering an outcome that makes your life convenient in the way that you deal with your business, your customers, customer engagement, sentiment, your brand, both building and protecting your brand, and just basic communication. There are convenient shortcuts, and AI can deliver some of those outcomes for you.
So things you could do is such as use tools to listen or what's happening on social media around your brand and get notifications based on, something's been mentioned that might relate, good or bad, to what your brand is trying to sell. If you had a phone call or had to communicate with one of your customers and the AI transcribed that call, you could go back to it later and say, what did we speak about? How many of that quantity they want to order? You can look at straight at the transcription of what you spoke about on the phone.
So I think the message is concentrate on what you're doing, because that's what you're in business for, but there are tools out there that can help you.
And finally, Samantha Allen came in to discuss office culture and how to be more human at work.
We can get so attached to our targets, our hits, the technical platforms that we need, all the tasks that we need to get done off our to-do list, and we can get further and further away from the things that make us human. The workplace culture, for me, is really thinking about bringing that human element back to life, rather than just focusing on the rules and the compliance and the micromanagement that we can all very easily fall into. Once we have people aligned around our culture, around our mindset, we can inspire people. So as you grow, being able to align people around the mindset, but empower them to make individual autonomous choices is going to be critical to allow you to scale and grow. Asking yourself, how do you want to be together? Not just what do we want to have, what do we need to do, but how do we want to be? The way that you write, the way that you choose imagery, the way that you might use little videos to tell a little story, to allow people to connect with how we use your service, how we use your product, watching other people use it. The warmth in that will create warmth in others.
After the break, a recap of the mentors and experts who guided these retailers through their digital bricks and clicks boot camp and their top tips for success. Throughout the 10 modules of the Bricks and Clicks course, we brought in millionaire mentors and industry experts to help guide our retailers through their digital transformations. Here's a quick recap of their invaluable advice and answers to questions our retailers had. First up was millionaire mentor Jane Kay. Jane spoke to our businesses about why it's important to get your business online.
I remember in 2011, looking at our traffic and realising that the amount of people hitting our website every day was the same amount of people that lived in our entire town. So it was like the entire town walking through your store each day. We're like, wow.
Next was Nick Wilson from Net Registry, who showed us how simple it is to set up a website.
There's a whole bunch of options in terms of online, do-it-yourself, template-based solutions that you can go and buy. You know, $10 a month, $20, $30, $40 a month.
After Nick, it was time for Melissa Fay to challenge the group to get serious about digital compliance.
So you have to tell a consumer what personal information you're collecting, how you're using it, the purposes for which you're collecting it, and if you share or disclose it overseas, you need to say that as well.
On the second day of the sprint weekends, millionaire mentor Irene Falcone had the group mesmerised with her secrets on branding and marketing.
The number one word of advice, you only have to get 70% of it right. Do you know what, with digital, I didn't even do that. I probably only had 40% right. I would put something up, and if it didn't work, I just deleted it and redid it.
How did you control that scalability and the growth?
I went through about, I'm going to say, no less than 20 different accountants in that time to get the right one. You absolutely need to have the right accountant, the right lawyer, the right someone to manage all of that, so you can focus on what your passion is and focus on staying true and training your people.
Then millionaire mentor Basil Karam shared his tips on making a product look great through visual merchandising, just like he's done with his business, Life Interiors.
For us, it was important to have good copy and not to fall into the trap of just simply listing specifications, especially if you're selling other people's brands. Good copy, and for us, strong imagery was important as well.
Day 2 also saw Jason Robinson from RBK Advisory get our retailers up to date on digital payment systems.
The stat that probably everyone's heard over and over again is how many small businesses in Australia fail. And the stats are along the lines of 60% of small businesses don't make it past that third year. So the important thing there is managing your cash flow is absolutely crucial.
How do we find the right accountant to work with?
Depending on your area, if you're a face-to-face person, you're going to want to get around and have a bit of a shop around. I always recommend interviewing at least 3 different people that you guys will work with. I think especially if in the past you've moved accountants and haven't necessarily felt the value exchange in what you guys are paying for the service you're getting in return. Especially now, I mean, Xero has a Find the Advisor tool that you can look for in your local area and see who is actually on Xero and using Xero, which is a great place to start.
On day 1 of the second sprint weekend, Nick Wilson from Net Registry showed these guys how to sell their products online.
When we talk about successfully selling online, we talk about how do you engage customers and how do you find customers. You know, finding customers is where social media is so important.
Nick, can you explain to us what that purchasing funnel is and what that looks like?
Basically, it's a traditional funnel, right? Start off at the top, awareness. Do people know about your business, right? About what you sell? If they don't know about you, then they can't buy from you. Good, simple stuff. As you step down the funnel, you start to think about preference. So, you know, if I know what it is that I want to buy, who are the companies that I'm considering? All right, so you start to evaluate different companies and how that works. Then you start to, really think about purchase as you step down that funnel.
Another millionaire mentor then joined us to show how to manage products once they're on the go.
A lot of people make a lot of effort to make the sale and then make sure that they're finding the right product for that customer. And often you can ruin that customer's journey by how bad you are at logistics.
How did you decide on what kind of styles of packaging you were going to go for? Or was it purely just a dollar terms?
It's a healthy balance of both, right? And you can't, unfortunately, you can't kind of tick every box with it. So, we We looked at practicality and we also looked at what others were doing that was awesome. But we're not a super expensive company. So we're, 80% of our customers said we're, really value for money. So we wanted to kind of make sure that everything we touched was similar to that.
It was then time for our next millionaire mentor to come in and squeeze some more inspiration into this lot. Tom Griffith from Emma & Tom's explained how to really connect with your customers.
You've got to know what you stand for, and therefore why people should buy or follow your good or your service.
Tom, why is it so important to keep your customers happy?
Well, our view is, I suppose, if you ask the Dalai Lama, people want to be happy because no one likes to be sad. Once again, why create a bad vibe? I mean, the brand is everything. Even my behaviour reflects the brand, which I'm aware of. We've all seen how quickly things can erode if people behave poorly.
Finally, it was time for our last expert, who we saw a little earlier in the show.
I think the one thing that you really want to make sure you don't forget, though, on the way through is maintaining your customer obsession. So when you got into business for that purpose, you went out there to actually service a customer.
Some pretty amazing advice from some incredible people, that's for sure. And if you want to hear even more great tips from them, just go to bricksclicks.com.au and sign up for the Bricks and Clicks course. There you'll find full interviews from each of our experts and millionaire mentors about how to transform your local business into a global online brand. Next week on Bricks and Clicks, the big reveal. Websites and online shops. Who nailed it? Who didn't?